recording. Welcome to the Friends of Fullerton College Foundation scholarship process for spring 2023. My name is Zup Velasco, and I'm the executive director of the foundation. Friends of Fullerton College Foundation is a nonprofit organization on campus that raises funds for scholarships, programs, and emergency grants on one side of our operation and distributes those funds to students on the other. So we're a small office with only 2 employees. We work with 16 different scholarship committees across 10 divisions in the college to bring you scholarships in a process that is new this year. Therefore, there may be some hiccups as we proceed. We'll troubleshoot things as they come up, but we'd like you to tell us as soon as you have any kind of a problem so that we can fix it immediately. To find scholarships at Fullerton College, the first thing you're going to do is go to our website, and I'm going to put it in the chat for you right now. It's hornetscholars.com. Pretty easy to remember, but let me put it in the chat for you. Hold on just a second. Oops, hold on. Okay, there you go. I just put it in the chat. So if you want to click on that, you can see our website. And the very first thing you want to do is go onto the home page when you first open it up, and you'll see in the bottom left corner, sign up for our newsletter. If you're on a phone, you might have to scroll down for it. You'll see sign up for our newsletter. If you want to receive our emails about future scholarships and other opportunities and things happening at the campus, you might want to sign up for our emails now. So that's a great thing for you to do right now. And I'm going to share my screen here. So for those of you who aren't next to a computer or you can't look at things on your phone, I will be able to help you with that. So you should be looking at our website right now. And this is the sign up for our newsletter button right here in the corner. And the next thing you want to do is go to For Students FC Scholarships right here at the top navigation and click on that. And you will then see all of the information about our scholarships. You'll see 2 different buttons here, one where you can click and get a slideshow of the instructions, and the other is a PDF of the instructions. The slideshow is a little bit cooler and easier to view, but if you don't have the equipment to do that, the PDF probably will load faster on your older equipment or on your phone, and you can go through that just as easy. They're the exact same thing, just one is a PDF, one's a slideshow. The application deadline is April 7th, 2023. So once you're here now, you'll be able to find all of our scholarships. And if I scroll down, you'll see all the different buttons for the scholarships that can be applied for. Before we get to that, though, let's go over the instructions. So if you want to open it up, or I can open it here and you can see it with me. All right, so here's the information on our scholarships. So our scholarships are named scholarships. They're endowed funds. The way an endowment works is somebody leaves a large sum. Today, it's over $15,000 that has to be left to create an endowment. And then that money goes into basically like a money market stock fund. And from the interest that's drawn from that every year, we fund the scholarships. And by doing that, we never touch the principal. So that $15,000 will still be in there 50 years from now, drawing scholarships. That's the idea behind an endowment. So the money that we give out now is just a small fraction of the money, but it's there forever for students. And then we also get some money that is pass-through funds that's passed through to us where somebody says, oh, here's $1,000, give it out this year for this particular scholarship. And that's what we do. And sometimes we'll get grants for example, STEM scholarships or high school freshmen coming in from high schools. And those scholarships might be $10,000 or $15,000 in scholarships that we give out at one time. This year, we're giving out over $145,000 in scholarships. So we have 16 different committees and different types of scholarships. So we go through these 5 different processes that you see right here. It's important to note that the scholarship amounts that are listed here may change. We may get more grants than we expect or not get a grant that we expect on the pass-through money. And some things are estimated. So there may be a slight change to this, but this is what we expect for this year. So let's go through these 5 different categories. First, before we get to that, who should apply? Any student should apply for scholarships in social sciences and math or computer sciences. Those are applications that students can apply to directly. Faculty and staff of the college can nominate students in other open categories, and we'll get to that in just a second. Students should be proactive about lobbying staff and faculty. So you can actually, in cases where faculty have to nominate a student, you know, if you've read the instructions, what awards are available and what the criteria is. So you can go up to a faculty member or staff member and say, I'm really interested in this award. I think I'm perfect for it. I know you're my favorite professor. You know my work. Would you nominate me for this? And one of the things that helps with that is if you've done some leadership like academic senate, tutoring, work study, volunteering on campus or off campus, student clubs, the student cultural centers, and there's a listing here of some of them: CalWorks, EOPS, Puente, Promise Care, FYSI, and Grads to Be. All of these things are programs on campus where you can assert some leadership ability, and that will definitely help you with scholarships. There is a little video here that you can click on, and it will kind of show you a little bit how to network within your strong ties and your weak ties to not just get scholarships, but to get internships and work study program and jobs. It's a nice little 2-minute video of how students can network. So I will not show that to you. I'll let you see that on your own. So what qualifies you for a scholarship? Students have to be full-time for most scholarships, unless otherwise noted. There are 1 or 2 that are part-time, but most of the scholarships are full-time. Most of them require you to have completed 24 credits by the end of this semester. So if it says 24 credits, it doesn't mean by last semester, it means by the time you finish this semester. You must have a minimum of 3.0 GPA. And you must have something that's exemplary about you. It could be your academics, your leadership, your ethics, your work ethic, or the way you deal with others. And there has to be something that people would, faculty and staff would notice about that, because in almost all cases, either they're going to have to nominate you for an award or write a letter of reference on your behalf for an award. So those are all important things for you. Now, some scholarships, most scholarships also require need. Not all scholarships. There are some merit-based scholarships, but most of them, probably 75, 80% of them are need-based scholarships. And what does that mean? So the Osher scholarships, which are about percentage-wise of the total amount of money we're giving away, they're probably about 25%. Those require a very specific thing, which is called the BOG fee waiver, or the Board of Governors fee waiver. It's also known as the Promise Grant. It basically means that you've applied for financial aid and you've qualified for it. If you have applied for financial aid and qualified for it, then you're probably eligible for those grants, or sorry, for those scholarships. If you do not qualify for financial aid, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't apply for a need-based scholarship. It just means you can't apply for an Osher scholarship. Now, there are other scholarships that require need, but the need is not necessarily defined as the BOG fee waiver, meaning that you've had to be eligible for financial aid. We know there are some students that are not eligible for financial aid and still have need. I'll give you an example. We had a student last year who was kicked out of his house because of his LGBT status. And he was out on his own and was homeless for a while, was able to get his act together, was couch surfing, got an apartment, but he was living on his own, working on his own, and going to school. But his financial aid didn't reflect that, because his financial aid still had him under his parents. When he let us know of his situation, not only were we able to help him fix his financial aid and qualify him for these student need-based scholarships, but we were also able to help him get an emergency grant. So these are things that we can do for you. If you're in a situation where you have need and don't qualify in the normal way, it's really important that you let your counselors know, or a favorite teacher or a favorite staff member, because they can help you out by also helping you with nominations for emergency grants as well. And we'll get to more on that later. Okay, I'm going to just go through this and then ask for questions at the end. So if you have any questions, please write them down and I will ask for questions at the end. I'm doing this because we're recording it and I don't want it to be a recording that people have to fast forward through, to find what they want. So I'm going to go through everything and then we'll have questions. So how do you apply? Well, once you're on our website, you'll see there are buttons there to apply. And there is an application for social science, and there are nominations for other awards. There's emergency grants, there's social sciences. We're going to go through all of them in a second. And you want to make sure that if it's a nomination process, or even if it's an application process where a faculty member is asked to provide a reference on your behalf, you need to show them that you are worthy of the scholarship. So what we suggest is providing an academic resume. And an academic resume is kind of defined for you on the next page here. An academic resume would have your name, your contact information, because just because they're your faculty member doesn't mean they can easily find that information. So it's easier if you provide it. How does the faculty member know you? Refresh their memory. I was in your class 2 semesters ago. You're my favorite teacher. I thought we really connected, so I wanted to see if you would help me with this, that kind of a thing. What is the format and deadline of the letter? So this is a question because you can use this academic resume, not just for these scholarships, but other scholarships you apply for. So make sure they know if there's a deadline coming up and what the format is if they're going to send you if they're going to send the a nominator some kind of a form. You could actually send them a link to our form if it's for our nominations. What are your academic goals? What's your education, your GPA? Do you have any club memberships or leadership positions that would help? Are there other awards or scholarships you've received? Are there conferences or publications that you were involved in? And by the way, publications these days can mean a lot of things. It doesn't necessarily mean that you wrote a book. It can mean that you have your own website. It could mean that you have a SoundCloud account because you're a musician. It could mean that you have a following on social media. All of these things would count as things that would show you and differentiate you from other students. What community services have you done? Have you done some volunteer work at a club or something on campus, or maybe a church or synagogue or mosque off campus? What about your employment history? Have you been a good employee if you are working? And by the way, there are some scholarships specifically for working students, so this would be important for that. And then what needs and obstacles and other circumstances are there that you want to make people aware of? And especially if you do not qualify for financial aid, but you're applying for a needs-based scholarship, you want to make sure that you spell out what that need is. It could have something to do with your status of being undocumented. It could have something to do with your home situation, whatever it is. You want to make sure people know that. All right, so now let's get to the actual applications. So there are some that are applications and some that are nominations. The difference being is that an application is something that you as a student apply for. And it usually requires an essay or two. And you will also require someone from the faculty to do a letter of reference for you, or at least provide a reference for you. So these are pretty labor intensive on your part. And we have simplified the process in many categories to a nomination process where you don't have to do any of this as a student. A faculty member or staff member can nominate you because they just think you're amazing and that you deserve an award. And like I said, you can also lobby them to do that. But that saves you from having to go through all this effort. You can also help them with the nomination. Maybe you know what the form looks like, so you can help them with the writing of it, and maybe let them know some things about you through your academic resume that they wouldn't know. But it's, in my opinion, it's sometimes a more equitable process to have a nomination, because not everyone is a great essay writer. You could be a great leader among students and a great student and a good scholar without necessarily being a great essay writer. And so I think in that respect, it can sometimes be a little bit more equitable to have the nomination process. But here for social sciences, they prefer an application process. So these are the awards that are available. It tells you the dollar amounts. I will just tell you, on awards that are usually $350 or less, there's usually one student that gets that award. And if the award is $500 or more, it can often be two students that get that award. And if it's over $1,000, it's usually multiple students, usually at $500 increments, that get those awards. So that's something for you to keep in mind. And that's important because here at Fullerton College, tuition is not particularly high, especially if you're on financial aid. But generally, your fees and your books can run about $500 a semester. So a $500 award is pretty good on this campus. All right, math and computer science also has a scholarship process where you have to apply. These are the scholarships that are awarded. And if you notice at the bottom of each page, it also has an email address where you can write if you have questions, so that each department or division has someone they've designated to answer questions from students on their scholarships. This is not somebody at our office, because as I said, we're only a two-person office. This is someone within the division themselves. We have general scholarships. Now we're going to switch from a scholarship process to a nomination process. So in these awards, a faculty or staff member is the one writing the nomination for a student. And they're going to say, so-and-so is perfect for this award because of X, Y, and Z. And notice that there is criteria for each award. There's amounts for them. And these are awards that are endowed scholarships that exist here. The next page are also general awards, but these are Osher awards. That means they have a very specific criteria for all the awards, and the amounts can be a little bit larger sometimes on some of these awards. For example, one of these awards may have a total of $2,500 available, in which case they would give out 5 awards of $500 each. So that's kind of how these work. It's hard to tell from this how many is available for each, but you should know that at least 350 is available for each of these awards. And with the Osher awards, they tend to be a little bit higher. You can see the total dollar amount here. Next is business. Business is also under the same nomination form process. And there are accounting awards, business scholarships as well. And then we go to STEM. There are special awards for all STEM fields. So to get a STEM award, you just have to be in a science, technology, engineering, or math field. And these are the STEM awards that are available. The Beckman Foundation Awards are based on a grant. We got this grant the last 2 years. We may get it this year. We may not. We don't know for sure. This is an estimate. And the grant may be a different amount this year. We don't know. But if you have information, there's a person there you can contact for information. And then we go from, now we've covered the scholarships that are available. We've covered the nominations that are available. And now we're going to the internal processes. Internal processes is where either a division or a department wants to give out their awards internally without an application process externally. And there's different reasons for this. So in the case of athletics, it's because they're given out usually at an athletic banquet for people who've excelled in a certain sport. And so they're not going to be part of this process. So if you want one of these awards, you need to ask within the athletics department about them. But now you know what they are, so you can do that. Fine arts is the same thing. Some of these awards are given out at competitions for theater or for music or for fine arts. The theater awards actually do have an application process that's done internally, and we've included that on our website. I'll get to that in a second. Humanities also has an internal process. Each one of these awards has their own application, and we've included them on our website, so you can look at them individually. They have a very thorough process to go through and to vet the students. Natural sciences also has an internal process. They have their own awards they give out internally. And if you notice, horticulture is a department within natural sciences that has their own awards with a separate process. We'll talk about that in a second. Also, incoming high school students, there are awards available for incoming high school students. So if any of you have a brother or sister who's coming to Fullerton College, there are awards available based on leadership at local Orange County high schools. And it's actually quite a bit of money, $500 for each student given out. And some of these are Presidential Scholars, a new program we have for leaders at our three biggest feeder schools. If they go to Buena Park or Fullerton Union or Anaheim, they might be eligible for a Presidential Scholars Award. And probably don't need to go too much into that because most of you are not high school students, but if you want to know more, just ask. We have a classroom to job site program, which is through several grants, and a new apprenticeship program. You can read all about it. We have the first drone pilot apprenticeships in the country and the first in the state of California. And it is a brand new program. We're the first to do it. And so as you see, there's $25,000 available for drone pilot apprentices. That program is already almost full. I think we have one slot left in that program. But that program will open up again next year for new drone pilot. So if you're interested at all in being a drone pilot, this is a big and opening program. We also have journalism. If you notice, there's several scholarships for journalism, these three, and then there's a scholarship for printing. So these are for people who are going into trades. They're not going on to a four-year institution. They're looking for a certificate for a trade, and these are the trades we have scholarships for. And they're all done internally within that trade. And then, as I said, horticulture, which is also a trade program, they have their own scholarships, and horticulture is part of our classroom to job site program, and we're starting a new apprenticeship for horticulture as well. So for people who want to be landscape designers, we have a new apprenticeship for them that will be starting next year. And then there are some other internal processes, like Study Abroad has a program for students going in the Study Abroad program. We have a Students of Distinction program that's handled out of Student Life and Leadership. And then we have one award for one student who is a Fullerton College Dreamer student, somebody who, as you can see, is an undocumented student, part of the Dreamer program. There's one award for that, and that will be given out through EOPS. There is also one award for a student within disability services. So these will be given out through their respective areas. And then we have the emergency grants. So the emergency grants are usually it's for a student that's nominated by a faculty member or a staff member because they found out the student is maybe become homeless during the semester. We've had at least 10 students getting awards just in the last 2 weeks from weather-related homelessness, people getting kicked out of shelters because there's too many people in shelters now because of the weather. And so we have some funding for that. We do not fund people's broken down cars because bus passes are free and available. We do not fund people's technology needs because there are free laptops available through the library and Wi-Fi. So mostly we're looking at people who have dire needs that is keeping them or making them need to drop out. Maybe they had a death in the family and they had to go back to work, and they're trying to figure out their financial aid in a new situation, and they're in a dire straits for a little bit. But generally, these are designed to keep people enrolled who would otherwise drop out if they didn't have this little bit of money to help them get through. And it's actually, you know, it's quite a bit of money in relationship to our scholarships. It's about as much as a scholarship, but it can be very important. And you should not apply for this unless it's really something in need, because you'd be taking that money from another student. Once the money is gone, it's gone. And you should, you know, your staff and faculty person would hopefully vet you and make sure that this is something that is real and something that's needed before they apply to us. And then we may do a little vetting on our own as well. And we'll also help you with wraparound services like food, bus passes, access to electronics, housing assistance, counseling. All of that is available on campus, and we can tell you where to go for that if your counselor can't. All right, that is it for the slideshow. And now I'm going to get back here to the page, and you can see here, this is the general award. And if you click on this form, you will see that this applies to business accounting, math, engineering, computer science, STEM fields, and then of course all the general scholarships are part of this as well. So if you're applying on this form, you're applying for either a general scholarship, and if you don't check any of these boxes, we know it's just a general scholarship. But if you check any of these boxes, you'll be applying for a general scholarship as well as whatever you check. Okay, and then here's the need question. And this will be filled out by a staff or faculty member, but of course you can help them make it easier by giving them as much information as possible so that you can see the form. The next thing would be the social sciences application. So you would start here, and this would tell you how to apply for all of these scholarships. Next would be math. These are here. And then down here are the humanities scholarships that you apply for through humanities. Again, we don't monitor this. This is all done within the humanities division, but each scholarship has their own application in their division. And then theater has an application which you can't apply to unless you're a theater student, but then you could apply for this award. Now, here's a really important thing for all of you to know. We also keep track of scholarships that are out there in the community. So if you click on this Partner Scholars page, this is a list of all the current scholarships that people have notified us about for our students. So these are all eligible for community college students at Fullerton. And you can apply for any of these. And each one has a little description and an application form or way to get to their website so you can see it. These are not our scholarships. They're just scholarships that people send us and say, we'd love to have your students apply to these. All right. And with that, I am done. I think I've told you about the emergency grants. You'll see there is a application here for that, and that is a nomination form from a faculty or staff member. And with that, I will open it up to any questions. Are there any questions?